I'm in an all-electric medium SUV this week, the 2023 Build Your Dreams or BYD Atto 3 Extended Range. Our market has been slowly saturated by EVs, like well-known rivals the MG ZS EV and the Nissan Leaf, but there's something unerringly simple about the Atto 3. Is this simplicity charming? Stay watching to find out. The Extended Range is the top model in a small two-model lineup. And as the name suggests, this has the longer driving range, but it will cost you a little bit extra at $51,011 before on-road costs. Now that is a price hike of $3,630 from the 2023 model. But you do get quite a few nice features for your cash, and it is now more affordable than its nearest rivals. There are plenty of cool features inside, like this rotating 12.8-inch touchscreen multimedia system, panoramic sunroof, plus wide Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The full specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you want more info. For an EV, this is a pretty understated exterior design. And in fact, on the road, you probably wouldn't pick it out as an EV. But it does have some cool highlights like the chromy C-pillar paneling and this cool LED strip lighting at the front and the rear. It's really the interior that's been the focus. It's going to be divisive though. You've got three-tone synthetic leather trims in navy, white, black with red piping. And it does add a certain level of pizzazz, but the actual texture of the seats kind of feel a bit too plasticky for my liking. The wavy looking dashboard kind of reminds me of a muscle, which I'm not overly fond of, but I do like the air vents. They just remind me of the Echo base on the ice planet Hoth in Star Wars, which will always be cool to me. Plus, super fun having rotary door handles. I thought that was really cool. I quite like how all the controls in this middle console are placed. However, don't love that the start button is there as well, because I've gone to press the park function, but I've actually pressed it off, which does do the same thing, but you know, an annoying placement for me. Overall, I feel like BYD has had a lot of fun in the design in here, but not all of it lands with me. As soon as you get into the front seat, you notice how airy it is. There's plenty of head and legroom up front. Really liked the individual storage options up here too, but I would have liked to have seen that the media port was located somewhere in here and not underneath in the shelf, because it is wide Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It just feels like an awkward placement for me. The sport seats look cool and are well padded underneath, but you're going to notice the lack of lumbar support on a long road trip. Plus, the headrest can't be adjusted, which might be worth considering if you're tall. The tech has been interesting to use. So overall, it's fairly simple to actually access, but there's a lot of adjustable settings that are buried deep within the menus. But I still didn't enjoy using it because you can't see it during the day. And that makes it really annoying for me at least, because a lot of the controls for climate and radio are in the actual screen. Can't access it while you're on the go. I do really like in the sat-nav though that you can display charging options. And it doesn't only just show you their location, it shows you how much power they have, how many there are, and how many of them are in use, which I did find handy this week. Also, there's no head-up display, but because of the positioning of this 5-inch digital instrument panel, you don't really miss it. A small note though, it's not centered, it's just slightly askew, which it might not irk you, but it really bugged me whenever I noticed it. The back seat is also quite spacious, and I have plenty of room for my 168 centimeter or 5'6" height. The seat is well padded, and I actually don't mind the amenities back here. A little bit lean, but not too bad. You get the cool air vents, and I like that you've got a USB-C and a USB-A port. There's some red netting on the door pockets. Now, I'm not sure if they're 100% useful with actual gear storage, but my son did do some pretty funny impromptu rock concerts this week. Compared to other EVs of this class, this has a decently sized boot at 440 litres. If you pop down those back seats, that jumps up to 1,340 litres. Interestingly, there's no front storage in this car, but you can store the extra cables underneath the floor. There's also no spare wheel, you just get a puncture repair kit, and it has been very handy having the power tailgate this week. The Atto 3 is a full EV and has a single motor that's powered by a 60.48 kilowatt per hour lithium ion blade battery. Say that 5 times fast. This has a max output of 150 kilowatts and 310 newton meters worth of torque. It's not the most powerful EV, but it will certainly get you from A to B in relative ease. And you can do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 7.3 seconds. Let's talk charging. This has a Type 2 charging port and an onboard DC charger with an 80 kilowatt capacity. Now that means that on a 50 kilowatt fast charger, you should see a charging time of roughly an hour to get from 10% to 80%. If you were to charge from home, say on a 7 kilowatt system, you'd see that time jump up to roughly 10 hours to get to a full charge from flat. This isn't as zippy as some other EVs that I've sampled, but it does have enough kick that if you have to, absolutely need to do open road driving, you will be able to. But this is definitely happiest in an urban setting. The ride comfort is generally pretty good around town, but once you hit the open road, it can get a little bit unsure of itself on the road during higher speeds. And if you happen to get windy weather like we've been having, it's just no fun at all on the open road, especially not on a blustery highway. It just shifts around in its lane. Otherwise, the steering is quite responsive and it handles itself in the city and cornering quite well, especially with the tight 11-meter turning circle. So despite being an EV, it's actually really loud at lower speeds. You get a very high electric whirring sound from the motor. If it annoys you, you can pop the music on, but I didn't like it. There are only 2 regen braking levels in this, low and high. But even on the high level, it doesn't have a massive physical presence. There's enough of one to know that it's working, but don't expect any pedal stuff from this one. The saving grace for this car though is how stupidly easy it is to park. The 360-degree view camera is super clear and crisp. Honestly, it's awesome. And because of its size, I didn't have to get choosy with my car spaces either. It was really good. The official energy consumption is 16 kilowatts per hour per 100 kilometers. Now my on-test figure came to 14.7 kilowatts per hour. It does have a pretty good driving range of 480 kilometers, but I had major range anxiety this week, and I do feel like it chews through its power. Because it's school holidays, I am doing longer trips, and I have done 3 road trips this week and have had to charge it 3 times. Now at the start of each road trip, I've been at 100% and average about 200 kilometers, but only being left with an average of 34% at the end of each trip. The Atto 3 has the usual safety specs, but I do like that the AEB with forward collision warning is operational from 4 kilometers per hour. And if you have a couple of kids, you'll like that it has ISOFIX child seat mounts on the rear outboard seats and 3 top tethers, but 2 seats will fit best. This has been awarded a maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating in 2022, so it's nice and fresh, and has 7 airbags, including a front center airbag. The full safety specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you want more info. BYD backtracked on its original launch offer for the Atto 3, so now it only comes with a 6-year or up to 150,000 kilometer warranty. But the battery warranty is still pretty good at every 8 years or up to 160,000 kilometers. You can choose between 2 servicing plans, a light service, which is for people who do under 12,000 kilometers every year, or a standard service for those who do more. On the light plan, services are capped at $189 for 5 years or up to 60,000 kilometers, whichever occurs first. On the standard plan though, expect to pay a little bit more at $299 for up to 8 years or 160,000 kilometers. Servicing intervals are more in line with a fuel-based car though, at every 12 months. Like its interior design, you may find that the BYD Atto 3 Extended Range is a divisive experience. On the one hand, I like how it handles in the city and its fun, playful design. I even like how roomy it is inside and the boot space, but this is not an open roader. And if you plan on doing weekend escapes, think again. This loves the city and will complain loudly to you if you venture outside of its limits. But because of the price tag, this does manage to earn a 6.5 out of 10 from me. If you're after more details, check out the full review at carsguide.com.au, and I'll see you next week.